Local government teams shouldn't have to waste time on manual data entry into outdated systems. With Symphony 3 Smart Glue, you don't have to. You can automate repetitive tasks, eliminate double handling, and connect legacy systems with ease. Smart Glue helps councils streamline operations, reduce errors, and deliver better services without replacing your existing systems. It's time to build smarter, more connected local governments. Learn more at www.symphony3.com. Symphony 3, supporters of the Local Government News Roundup. Serious concerns raised about the effectiveness of Victoria's LGI. Councillors brand planning changes un-Australian. A councillor fails in a bid to overturn a 3-month suspension. Further delays in Orange Council's general manager appointment process. A Queensland mayor cleared again of conduct breach allegations. A controversial council website to be overhauled. A WA council sounds the alarm on coastal erosion, while Nedlands awaits the appointment of commissioners. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. It's Monday the 14th of July. Welcome to your regular roundup of stories making news from and about councils across Australia and beyond on the Local Government News Roundup. Brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Victoria's Local Government Inspectorate, tasked with investigating complaints and compliance relating to local councils, has been labelled a toothless tiger due to serious concerns over its effectiveness and transparency. The Herald Sun has published the results of an investigation that reveals the watchdog has not made any of its investigations public for 6 years and has not published any annual reports for the past 2 financial years. It says a lack of accountability has left the public in the dark about complaints, investigations and actions taken against misconduct in the state's 79 councils. The report notes a 36% reduction in funding for the inspectorate over 5 years, with multiple unfilled vacancies due to budget constraints and a lack of legislative power to publish investigation reports until last year. Recent changes to Victorian planning rules have been branded un-Australian by councillors in Warrnambool, according to the Standard. Councillors have been told they no longer have the power to approve or reject townhouse developments, while residents are also blocked from appealing projects to the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal. The changes apply to housing developments up to 3 stories high, and councillors believe it undermines community input, despite being designed to increase housing availability. The council has delegated approval powers to its manager of city growth, saying there's no point in bringing those matters before council meetings. Mayor Ben Blaine said the government did not get the balance right with its changes. He said neighbourhood character isn't something that can be determined by a set of criteria, and what works in Melbourne doesn't necessarily work for the regions. Alpine Shire Council has written to the Victorian Treasurer expressing concerns about the new Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund levy. The council has published its letter on its website, in which it expresses concerns about disproportionate impacts on farmers and businesses, cost of living pressures and implementation burdens on councils. It's requested a review of the levy to achieve a fairer distribution of charges, suggesting a staggered introduction, including a 50% reduction for ratepayers beyond the existing moratorium for primary producers. The timeline for a by-election in Wodonga City Council's Lake Hume ward has been finalised. The by-election, to be conducted by postal ballot, is required to fill a vacancy created by the recent resignation of Hannah Seymour. Close of roll for voters is 4 p.m. on the 23rd of July, and candidate nominations will be taken between the 18th and 26th of August. Ballot packs will be distributed from Monday the 15th of September, with voting closing at 6 p.m. on Friday the 3rd of October. Yarra City Council has reaffirmed its support for the abolition of nuclear weapons on the 80th anniversary of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. It's joined with 13 other Victorian and 33 Australian councils to support the ICAN Cities Appeal, a global initiative advocating for nuclear disarmament through local governments. Mayor Stephen Jolly said the councils are also calling on the federal government to sign and ratify the treaty. Cardinia Shire Council has claimed savings of over $1 million and the protection of more than 400 trees by employing innovative design and construction strategies on 2 road sealing projects. Mayor Jack Kowaczyk said the council has been able to seal 2 additional strategic links within the road, as well as save money and the local environment at the same time. The strategic approach included using ground-penetrating radar technology to create 3D models of trees and their roots, allowing the council to adjust designs and preserve approximately 95% of the identified trees across the Door Road and Mount Lyell Road projects. To Colac, and the Blue Water Gym is undergoing a renovation and will reopen with an Australian first for fitness buffs. Colac Otway Shire Council has announced the gym will introduce the country's first Matrix upper body cycle, along with an assault runner and reformer Pilates space with 10 reformer beds. The gym will reopen on the 19th of July with an official relaunch celebration on the 21st. And an immunisation nurse with more than 40 years' service is among the Maroondah City Council employees that have been recognised for their service. Maureen Moon Houston recalls the origins of the service as a head lice inspection, expanding into today's immunisation service, which she believes is essential for maintaining a healthy community. Also recognised were 6 employees with 30 years of continuous service, 12 with 2 decades, and 23 who've reached their 10-year milestone. More council news in brief. ABC Radio Melbourne has reported on a move by Knox City Council to introduce user charges and idle fees for electric vehicle chargers. Deputy Mayor Glenn Atwell told the ABC the changes would reduce the cost of setting up more chargers and help to democratise the spaces. Yarra Ranges Council has announced a reduction in maternal and child health services due to high levels of staff illness. The council has had to reschedule appointments as the staff shortage affects all services offered across all of its MCH centres. And Hume City Council says it's completed another year of over $100 million of capital works, delivering essential infrastructure, including community centres, sports facilities and transportation improvements. Mayor Jared Bell said it had been one of the city's biggest years of infrastructure delivery and acknowledged the state and federal government contributions to several of its key projects. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, which has opened registrations for the Mayoral Leadership Program this year. It's in its 2nd year and designed to equip mayors and deputy mayors with the knowledge they need to lead their council effectively and with good governance at their foundation. It's now mandatory for mayors and deputy mayors to undertake training at the commencement of each mayoral term. Under the new Victorian government reforms, this training must be completed by the 31st of December. The VLGA Mayoral Leadership Program will be held on Friday the 28th of November at the Monash Conference Centre in Collins Street, Melbourne. A full-day program will cover the roles and responsibilities of a mayor, the mayor-CEO relationship, how to chair a council meeting, managing difficult conversations, dispute resolution and effective communications and media training. Places are filling fast, so register now via the VLGA website. And if you book by the 1st of August, you'll receive an additional 10% off the listed prices. Rounding up some New South Wales news now, and Snowy Monaro Region Councillor Andrew Thaler has failed in his bid to overturn a 3-month suspension from office. About Regional has reported that the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal rejected his appeal on Thursday. Councillor Thaler was suspended in May after making a series of controversial comments on social media, including personally attacking fellow councillors and staff. The tribunal found his behaviour constituted misconduct, with Deputy President Nancy Hennessy ruling that some comments were reasonably likely to have adversely affected the health and safety of those targeted. The councillor had claimed there was a political agenda to remove him from council and argued his comments should be viewed in the context of his frustration with others' conduct. However, the tribunal maintained that regardless of his motivations, Mr Thaler did not have the right to engage in misconduct. The suspended councillor is now required to formally apologise and will remain suspended until the 4th of August. The New South Wales Government has taken unprecedented action to address delays in housing approvals across Sydney. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, it reports that Planning Minister Paul Scully has appointed specialist planning staff to oversee development assessment processes at Georges River, Sutherland, Willoughby and Wingecarribee councils after they failed to meet strict time targets for housing applications. Georges River was identified as the slowest performing council in New South Wales, approving just 7% of residential applications within the expected time frame. Minister Scully has warned that councils dragging the chain are being monitored with the possibility of further action. Meanwhile, the state government is reportedly considering changes to allow medium-density housing projects to bypass the lengthy development application process altogether. At Orange City Council, the decision to appoint an interim CEO has been temporarily delayed. Mayor Tony Mileto emphasised the importance of making the right choice despite timing pressures. The council met to discuss the matter on Friday and plans to reconvene this week for further discussions. Barking dogs have become the biggest source of noise complaints across Sydney's suburbs. The Sydney Morning Herald reports the councils are receiving up to 3 complaints every day about disruptive canines. Blacktown leads the pack with nearly 1,000 complaints last year alone, while the Northern Beaches recorded 638 complaints about noisy dogs. Experts suggest the surge may be linked to post-pandemic work arrangements, with more dogs experiencing separation anxiety as their owners return to the office. Some local governments are now calling on the state government for greater powers to investigate and fine the owners of persistently noisy dogs. A former inner Sydney councillor has made headlines after scoring a plum diplomatic posting in the Trump administration. Nick Adams, a one-time deputy mayor of the former Ashfield Council, has been nominated by President Trump to become the United States ambassador to Malaysia. 20 years ago, Adams was making headlines in Sydney's inner west for proposing pigeon extermination to combat bird flu. His political journey began in local government before he relocated to the US in 2012. He gained American citizenship in 2021 and has transformed himself into what he calls an alpha male and a dedicated Trump supporter. The nomination has raised eyebrows given his controversial social media presence. Ashfield Council merged in 2016 with Leichhardt and Marrickville to become today's Inner West Council. Ku-ring-gai Council is part of a collaborative project that has been awarded over $330,000 by the New South Wales EPA to study and mitigate microplastic contamination from synthetic turf sports fields. The 2-year collaborative project, also involving the Sydney Coastal Councils Group, aims to develop preventative measures to stop synthetic turf blades and rubber crumb infill from entering local waterways and beaches, addressing growing environmental concerns. And Jetstar and Ballina Byron Gateway Airport are celebrating a 20-year partnership that has seen over 5 million passengers travel through the airport on nearly 40,000 Jetstar flights since 2005. Ballina Shire Mayor Sharon Cadwallader celebrated the relationship, which has significantly enhanced regional connectivity, bolstered the local economy in the Northern Rivers, and made travel more accessible for both residents and visitors. On to Queensland now, and Redlands City Mayor Joss Mitchell has been cleared of conduct breaches following an independent investigation, according to the Courier Mail. This is the second time allegations against the mayor have been dismissed after formal inquiries. The investigation, conducted by BDO Forensic and Integrity Services at a cost of over $18,000, examined claims that Mayor Mitchell made false statements on Facebook and failed to moderate potentially defamatory comments. BDO's report concluded that the mayor's statements were accurate at the time they were made and that public comments on her post did not meet the threshold for defamation under council guidelines. However, the final decision on the matter rests with the full council, which will vote on whether to accept the report's recommendations at this Wednesday's council meeting. Bundaberg Regional Council will transition its controversial Bundaberg Now Good News platform to a council updates service called BRC Now from the 4th of August. That delivers on Mayor Helen Blackburn's election pledge to draw a clear line between council communications and independent journalism. The new BRC Now platform will focus exclusively on official council information, including service updates, project announcements and key initiatives and will no longer publish non-council news. It will also be clearly branded as a council communications channel after years of controversy during which Bundaberg Now was heavily criticised by media industry leaders, academics and politicians for mimicking the appearance of independent news while publishing curated council content. Mackay has been ranked as one of Australia's top 10 cities for startups, according to the Reckon Startup Cities report. It secured third place in Queensland due to its affordable living costs, strong business survival rates and excellent digital infrastructure. Mayor Greg Williamson said the recognition affirms Mackay's reputation as a launchpad for innovation and growth. Mark Crawley has commenced a 3-month appointment as interim CEO at Torres Shire Council, which is based on Thursday Island. Previous CEO Delassie Yorkston is headed to Northern Peninsula Areas Council in Bamaga as its new CEO from early next month. Mr Crawley said a process to fill the permanent role at Torres Shire would commence soon. And the North Western Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils has appointed Joshua Dyke as its new executive officer. Mr Dyke is moving from LGAQ, where he's worked closely with rural and remote councils and developed a strong appreciation for their unique challenges and opportunities. More news from around the nation. Northern Midlands Council in Tasmania has revealed its budget, which includes a 5.5% rates increase, equating to approximately $110 annually for most residential properties. Mayor Mary Knowles recognised that any increase is unwelcome, but said it was unavoidable due to rising costs. The budget features a record $25.5 million capital works program. 19 candidates are running for 4 vacancies on the Adelaide City Council's Central Ward supplementary election. In Daily SA has reported on the political affiliations of the candidates for the postal election, with voting closing on the 25th of August. The election was triggered after a district court judge declared the previous Central Ward election void, removing 4 councillors from their positions. 2 of those are contesting the supplementary election. From WA, ABC News has reported from the small fishing town of Lancelin, 125 k's north of Perth, which is facing a growing crisis as coastal erosion threatens to expose the below sea level community to devastating flooding. Local business owner Glenn Treblecock, who runs the Beachfront Sands Hotel, says he's lost up to 30 metres of beachfront in just 2 years. Gingin Shire Council needs $150,000 to implement protective measures before predicted king tides arrive in August, but Shire President Linda Balcombe says she's waiting on a response from the State Treasurer. Perth Now has reported Nedlands Mayor Fiona Argyle's claims that a political coup led to 4 councillors resigning and the pending replacement of the council by commissioners. She said she believes the drama stems from her opposition to a proposed 9.5% rates increase last year. The resulting turmoil has delayed this year's budget process, with incoming commissioners now tasked with determining rates and managing the city until at least October's local government elections. The remaining 4 councillors, including Mayor Argyle, are still listed on the council website, along with a statement indicating that those positions will be vacated once commissioners are appointed. The Premier Roger Cook has said the government is considering whether the commissioners' appointments may extend beyond scheduled elections in October. And Alice Springs Town Council has renamed its meeting rooms as part of its commitment to reconciliation, embedding respect for Aboriginal culture into everyday spaces. Each room will feature a QR code linking to an Indigenous pronunciation guide. The initiative stems from the Council's Reconciliation Action Plan Working Group. Heading overseas now with our global report out of the UK, Croydon Mayor Jason Perry insists the council is not failing despite its £1.6 billion debt and the threat of government intervention. BBC News reported that the mayor has vowed to oppose commissioners imposing tax hikes or service cuts. Opposition councillors say his combative stance is potentially harmful to negotiations with the government. Consultation on the potential installation of commissioners is due to close next week. Proposals to restructure Cambridgeshire and Peterborough councils into 2 large unitary authorities have raised concerns among 70% of survey respondents and several local MPs, according to BBC News. The government claims the reorganisation will create more efficient structures, while critics worry about the impact on local services and the potential loss of focus on specific communities' needs. The mayor and councillor from the Oregon city of Shady Cove in the US have resigned during a special council session, reportedly over workplace dysfunction. The local NBC station reported that the mayor described the city administrator as incompetent, while the councillor claimed that she'd received threatening texts from the city administrator. The city says its operations remain stable and it's fully functional, despite these surprise departures. Let's go to Canada, where a heated meeting of North Bay City Council has seen a motion calling for an independent forensic audit of Mayor Peter Chirico's expenses defeated in a 7-3 vote. The Mayor of the Ontario city has been under scrutiny for charging approximately $16,000 in personal expenses on his corporate credit card. He declared a conflict of interest and did not participate in the debate, according to a report from CTV News. The council unanimously approved a transparency measure requiring quarterly online publication of council and mayoral expenses, with a bylaw expected by September. The mayor has previously stated that all personal expenses have been repaid, and he's called for the city's Integrity Commissioner to further investigate the matter. And in New Zealand, Wellington City Councillor and mayoral candidate Ray Chung is defending his actions after sending an email containing third-hand claims about Mayor Tory Whānau to fellow councillors. Radio New Zealand reported that the email was sent in early 2023, recounting a story Chung claims was told to him by a neighbour. Mayor Whānau has described the claims as malicious and sexist rumours, and she's seeking legal advice. Whānau recently announced she won't seek re-election as mayor, but is standing for the council's Maori ward. She's expressed concern about the changing nature of local politics, with smear tactics now becoming the norm. That gives you a taste of things happening across the local government world right now. If you'd like to dig deeper, links to all of those stories can be found in the transcript at lgnewsroundup.com. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. This has been episode number 476, recorded on the morning of Monday, the 14th of July, 2025. I'll be back with more on Wednesday. Until then, thanks for listening, and bye for now. The next VLGA-LGIU Global Executive Live panel is on Tuesday the 22nd of July, exploring the topic of building the local economy. It will be held online from 5:30pm to 7pm, with panellists including Dr. Angela Jackson from the Australian Productivity Commission, David Marlow, Chief Executive of Third Life Economics, and Merrin Tinkler, Manager Economy and Culture at Mount Alexander Shire Council. They'll explore the role of local government in economic growth, ways to ensure local economic planning remains resilient to economic changes, and what the shared challenges and opportunities are for local economic performance. Global panels are free for VLGA members and alumni and $60 for non-members. Visit the VLGA website to register now.